So I mentioned to you guys how I want to do longer form content on Mondays, and today is our first attempt at doing so. I got in a call with my friends just to have a fun topic of discussion regarding TMNT video games. What studio would we like to see tackle a AAA TMNT title if one were to be made? This conversation does not stem from any rumors or speculation or leaks about this being an actual product. We just simply came up with the idea to talk about it and did that. So don't come at our throats or anything like that if we say something that ticks you off. I'm joking. I mean, you have free reign to do that. Some of the answers we're giving are completely impossible, like it legally can't happen, but we're talking about in a perfect world where none of these legal boundaries are in place, who would we like to see make a AAA TMNT game? So keep that in mind as we have this discussion. The conversation is a little messy, it's a little all over the place, but hey, we're getting used to this new podcast format in terms of more discussion type of videos that involve more people than just me. So allow us to iron out the wrinkles in this type of video format, and hopefully we'll get it more polished in the future. But enough from me, let's get into the topic. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's go. Okay, today's video topic, we're talking about TMNT video games again, but instead of talking about Shredder'S Revenge, which is going to be the latest release in the, I don't know, Turtles gaming franchise, we are going to theorize here. This is totally theoretical. Nothing is stemming from rumors or speculation or anything like that. No leaks are happening. This is just us talking stuff. So what we're doing here today is in a theoretical sense, right? If we're living in an alternate universe where there's a AAA 3D TMNT video game being developed, we are discussing which studio we want to see handle that task. So I say we just hop right into it. We'll say what studio we want to do the game and why we think they're a good pick. And I guess we will argue off of each other and see why we think our studio should win, and who knows, maybe at the end we'll all settle for one. But yeah, so I'm gonna leave the floor to these people. They can introduce themselves first if they want to, and then we'll go ahead and explain why we chose these studios, or they can just hop right into it. So I'm gonna shut up for a second and let them take it away. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Sly. I'm going first. So my studio, I think, could do a TNT game is NetherRealm. NetherRealm has done Mortal Kombat and Injustice, and the way that the Turtles play in Injustice would be cool if they had their own fighting game.
My pick, because in the sense of like a AAA TMNT game, I'm thinking the Turtles fans deserve their own Insomniac Spider-Man, their own Batman Arkham equivalent. You know, I love Insomniac, what they did with the Spider-Man game, all of that, and I was leaning on them for a while, but I think I have to go with Sucker Punch. I love their work on Ghost of Tsushima in particular, and I don't know why, but there was one night I was playing the game and I just thought about it. You know, like these guys could probably do a pretty awesome job with a TMNT game. They know how to do good combat. Like just the action in Ghost of Tsushima is immaculate. But speaking in terms of like just furthering that idea, they're not only just good at making games, but presenting them as well. I think there's a reason why Sucker Punch has been uplifted so much after the release of Ghost of Tsushima because of how they handled the marketing. You got like the free digital soundtrack with the game if you bought Day 1 edition with no extra charge. The DLC has been pretty good. I know they had a little bit of a hiccup with the PS5 version, but all in all, the side quests and the combat, the story, how you progress through it, how you unlock more abilities in that game just shows to me that that format would serve well to TMNT as a whole. So that's why I picked Sucker Punch.
Originally, I was going to choose Square Enix with their involvement with Marvel's Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. However, I'm changing it because due to playing it recently, I noticed a few things that the gameplay is kind of clunky and we don't want another clunky 3D TMNT game. So I decided that it should be Insomniac games because they're more well polished, and I'm sure that they can handle a TMNT experience. Maybe not multiplayer, but hopefully that'll be really cool if they did. But if it was forced to be single player, I'm sure that they can pull it off because they showed they could do great stories with Spider-Man. So when I try with TMNT, that is all.
All right.
The company or so I think should make a game it's just a bit of a selfish reason, but I would only say Nintendo. And personally for me, it's because of the games I've played in the past. I have loved Nintendo style. You see, I've always been a sucker for most RPG games.
All right. Well, if that's what you're chiming in with, I have to fight against that. Because listen here. I completely forgot to mention this until SM brought it up. This was another fighting reason why Sucker Punch is the ideal pick for a TMNT game. They added multiplayer to a single player game like Ghost of Tsushima free of charge after launch, in addition to the story mode. So that's another reason why you can have your single player story and a multiplayer mode that adds even more lore for free. So that's like, again, it's like the cherry on top, further proving why Sucker Punch would be the best choice, in my opinion.
Well, yes, that all made true, but Insomniac Games, they have more gimmicks, more fresh ideas. Well, for Sucker Punch, yeah, they do original things, but they do stick to one certain thing.
Okay, what is the one singular thing they stick to? Let me ask you, have you played Ghost of Tsushima?
I've seen people play it, yes.
Okay, you've seen people play it. How much have you seen people play?
About 2 hours worth of it.
2 hours worth of it, so not even scratching the surface. Your argument is based on the opening of the game.
Pretty much.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I have an objection as well. For Nintendo, if you think about it, there's many genres other than RPG. We have Mario, which is a platformer. They somehow were able to make that into a 3D game. Now, don't question me on that, because I don't know how they do it. All I have to say is this. They're very experimentative. They can give something new. They can give something new to the Turtles franchise. They could put like a whole new aspect we never thought of.
I don't believe that statement.
First of all, let me say this to the audience out there watching this video. I know some of you are like, "Oh, Nintendo would never make a freaking exclusive TMNT game. They only work with original IP." This whole argument is based on what ifs. Okay, we're not looking at legality or what's actually possible. Even though, you know, Sucker Punch, Insomniac, them making a Turtles game could possibly happen one day. Keep that in mind that we're just speaking in dream world, okay?
What about Sega? Do you think Sega might be...
Oh no! I'm sorry, I don't trust Sega! Oh no! I gotta say.
No, listen, I'm gonna speak now real quick. No, Sega, even though I love the company, they do not, I don't trust them on a franchise like this. I don't trust it. They can't work with Sonic perfectly. I don't think they can touch Turtles.
Also, keep in mind, the argument is AAA TMNT experience. So we're talking about like stuff like God of War, The Last of Us, you know, Uncharted, those kind of like big budget titles. Like in a world where we're getting one of those for TMNT, who's a studio, you know, you would look for? And normally, you know, I don't want to, you know, shame Sega like that, but most of their biggest hits are not those type of titles, you know?
I will say this too. I do agree, and I'm a bit biased here. I do agree with the Sucker Punch stuff, because Sucker Punch has made really good games, but yeah, I'm biased. So.
Wait, who did you pick again? I
picked NetherRealm.
Okay, okay. So,
but I just wanted to say I'm biased to Sucker Punch.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up to you. You mentioned NetherRealm. To my knowledge, they've only made fighting games, and so are you suggesting you want to see NetherRealm step outside of their box and make like a, you know, open world or even linear story-driven type of game? Like, is that what you're wanting to see from NetherRealm?
Well, not really, no, because I want to see like a TMNT fighting game.
Okay, so like a AAA TMNT fighting game.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's fair. That's a fair argument.
So the reason why is because, you know, the way they play in Injustice, I could see that in their own fighting game, along with Shredder and, you know, the Foot Clan or Krang.
I think that would actually sell pretty well.
Yeah, like they have their own abilities, like, you know, Batman does or Superman in Injustice.
I think that'd be cool. I still pick Sucker Punch. I honestly, I stand by Sucker Punch. Obviously, I wouldn't be upset if tomorrow they said, hey, Insomniac Games is making a AAA TMNT game. Awesome. You know, they did a great job with Spider-Man. If they say Rocksteady's making it, you know, Naughty Dog is making it, or Square Enix. Just as long as it's got the DNA of the Turtles and we don't have another repeat of the Mutants in Manhattan situation, follow what has been working for these other games that base themselves on existing IP. And I know it's like kind of outside of the box for me in particular to not stick to Insomniac so closely. seeing how much I love Spider-Man, and they've created one of my favorite iterations of the character. It's just that when it comes to TMNT, there's just something about Sucker Punch. I just think that they could do something completely radical, no pun intended, with the brand. You know, I think Insomniac would be very good at replicating the more, you know, cartoony style of them with a bit of photorealism. You know, like imagine them making a TMNT game running in the same engine as Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. But I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just something about Sucker Punch that I would give it to them. And I guess I'm looking at it through the lens of them adapting something with the IDW comics sort of grit to it, while also having a bit of that lighthearted fun as well. I don't know. I just think they'd be a pretty good pick for it.
You know how in this video we already put down Sega, obviously, but then there's some aspects that I noticed. If you think about it, Sega does throw out good storylines. I mean, to me, there's actually a good amount of lore.
At times.
At times, yes. I mean,
it's Sonic 06.
Okay, so it's kind of like not really with the whole company part, mainly just like combining two different games where it could be the best part of the TMT games. Like, why not just combine the gameplay of Out of the Shadows, but the freedom of movement with Museum Manhattan?
But make it actually good. That's not it's not to diss those previous games, because I'll admit they're totally guilty pleasures, but to be completely transparent, the only reason I go back to them is because it's Ninja Turtles. You know, like, I don't have many options in the 3D gaming realm when it comes to that brand, so you kind of have to settle. Yeah, you kind of have to settle right now. So because
most of these games are mobile nowadays.
Yeah, I think it's like a solid enough foundation. It just wasn't polished enough, and of course there are multiple gripes to be had with those games, but that's not to say you can't take inspiration from them and expand on what they were trying to accomplish. The Insomniac Spider-Man games pulled from some of the worst previous Spider-Man titles and made something good out of the mechanics that they introduced. So you could do a similar format with TMNT. I've got to say, to conclude here, I guess we can go down the line, see if we changed each other's minds on anything. To be completely honest, to see if we can all come to one final decision on one studio, even though I'm sticking to my guns with Sucker Punch, for the sake of conclusion here, to pick one studio, I think I would totally be down and convinced for Insomniac to do it. So I will go ahead and agree with SM's initial standpoint, because I think there would be a lot of cool things, especially with the character of Donatello using a weapon wheel that you see in like Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man. Also, just the cartoony nature of the graphics seen within something like Ratchet and Clank, or the more photorealism that you see in the Spider-Man games. They've been proven to do both, so they could do both art styles as well and have more flexibility in that area when it comes to the Turtles. So final standpoint, final verdict, I'm throwing my towel in for Insomniac.
Can I throw in two towels for two of them?
Sure.
So for me, I would say I like both Insomniac and Sucker Punch because I like both games. I played Ratchet and Clank. I grew up on Ratchet and Clank. I grew up on Sly Cooper, and those games are phenomenal, and I could see them making a TMNT game like that, like a platformer.
All right.
As for me, I'm going to steal what Sly said, throwing in two towels. I do think that Sucker Punch can pull off a thing like that, because I've seen what they can do, and honestly, and after what you guys told me, I can definitely now see what I can do it. Granted, I'm still taking my guns on Insomniac games, but I will not be upset if Sucker Punch tries their hand at making a TMT game.
I'm gonna be a little worse. I'm just say Insomniac, I guess.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
See, that wasn't so hard. There we go. That's all we needed. Very solid talk, discussion about TMNT games and all that good stuff. I guess we'll leave the floor open to the people in the comment section. Who do you think should make a AAA TMNT game? Do you like our options? Do they suck? Are we idiots and you know everything and we don't? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Share the video with anyone you think may be interested, and hit that subscribe button if you're new. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video that I post. As always, I've been Geekly, you've been awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Cowabunga, dudes.